Hi, in this video I will talk about different measures of central tendency. A measure of central tendency is the center point of a set of data. For example, if I want to investigate how much time students spend studying, excluding the time spent in classes and in other organized teaching, I collect the data and I would probably list it in an Excel spreadsheet. When I present my findings to my audience, I do not present the individual students' responses. I'm only interested in presenting the central tendency of the data, the typical value, the typical time spent studying for an average student. I will talk about the three most common types of measures of central tendency: the mean, the median, and the mode. Which one to use when depends on how your data looks. I will go further into this later. The mean is simply the sum of all the values divided by the number of observations. This is shown in this equation, where x1 is the first observation and x2 is the second observation, and so on. And n is the total number of observations. If we use the same example, the average here will be 3 plus 5 plus 17 plus 3 plus 8 divided by 5, since I have 5 observations. Here I have calculated the mean to be 7.2 hours. The mean is the correct measure of central tendency to use when the data are normally distributed. I will go further into details about that in another video. But it means that the data are evenly distributed around the mean. If you look closer at my data, there is one student who is quite different from the other 4 students. He or she spends 17 hours studying each week. Mathematically, this value will influence the mean quite a lot and pulling the mean up, which might therefore be an incorrect measure of central tendency. If I exclude this measure, if I exclude the 17, then the mean will be 4.75. Okay, so let's go on to the median. The median is the measure of central tendency that we use if the data are not normally distributed. To find the median, you should list your data from smallest to largest, or the other way around if you want, and find the middle value. Again, if we look at the same example, here I range the data from the smallest to the largest, and then I find the middle value, which is 5. This is probably a more correct measure of central tendency than the mean I showed in the previous slides. Okay, so let's look at one last of the most frequently used measures of central tendency, the mode. The mode is the most frequently observed value in your data sets. In our example, the most frequently observed value is 3. Therefore, the mode is 3. So, if we look at all the 3 measures of central tendency in this example, the mean was 7 hours, the median was 5 hours, and the mode was 3 hours. This is quite a big difference. However, if you see what I have indicated down here, the 3 small dots, this means that there is probably a lot more data I have not presented here on this slide. Actually, in this example, I have a total of 314 observations. And with that many observations, my data are more likely to be normally distributed. We will look further into this example in the video about how to read and interpret a histogram. This was a short introduction to 3 different measures of central tendency: the mean, the median, and the mode. I encourage you to see my video about how to read a histogram in order to get a more detailed understanding of the differences of these 3 measures.